All right, so we're going to start off. Thank you, Dr. Grisham, for everything um, going on this. This would be sprints 5 and 6 individual progress update. The previous individual progress update, I kind of didn't really do certain aspects that you asked or was kind of confused on certain aspects. So I tried to really look over the template, which is right here, and where I missed points. So I'm going to be really addressing those kind of in this presentation. So mainly I missed points on the minutes, the GitHub check-in, the code highlights. So I'm going to go straight into that and kind of go into the presentation. So breakdown of labor. This is our final and concluding sprints. So everything's kind of wrapping up. So everything should either be completed or is completed. And luckily for us, we were kind of ahead of the ball. We worked really well together, and I'm super blessed for our group. Super thankful. And it's been honestly such a learning experience with Flutter and Firebase and just coding in the atmospheres. Currently, I am not at home. I'm away at work. I'm in Vegas, so if there's any difficulties in understanding me or anything like that, it's because I'm on a headset and I'm on my laptop. So I tried to do a demo on my laptop, but my home computer runs it better. So I did some screenshots and some stuff like that from a previous demo that we did, um, and kind of hope that will work. I know our final YouTube video as a group will show a full demo of everything, the functionality. I haven't downloaded it on my phone yet, which I will do as of tomorrow. But just kind of want to get a synopsis of that as well and show you just like kind of what I worked on specifically, so I can show you my part in creating this application that I really am ecstatic for. I think it's something that we could branch off and give to the universities and students could use eventually. But I think it's our selling point, like Dr. Grisham has said, is just the universities. And I know when I was there, I had to go off for work, unfortunately. But when I was there for the event, it was a huge hit and people really liked it. And when they really understood the concept, we got talking about it, they were like, that's really cool and has a lot of purpose and kind of can be something good. I just think the AI interaction is something that hasn't been touched yet, and we hit the mark with it, so it's kind of nice. So I'll stop jabbering and kind of get into the breakdown of labor. Okay, so previously I was working on the navigation bar, kind of almost done with it, is completed. I had some help kind of completing it, but I got to a good point and then we kind of wrapped it up. But overall, the work was done by myself. I just needed a couple of implementation and fixing some error codes that I was getting. And the completed story points would be 8. And I worked on that, I would say, at minimum 5 hours. I think I'm going low on that, but I just wanted to lowball it rather than overball it. Final wrap up issues we kind of all worked on together to make it user friendly, kind of just fix up everything. Kind of what you told us was to kind of make everything more user friendly, more it was kind of cluttered in a sense, I thought. It didn't have a good flow, so we got rid of a lot of windows and kind of made it kind of flow from one screen to the next, especially as you're progressing to your recordings or to your screenshots of whatever you may want transcribed. So that was around 6 hours of individual my work put into that, but I know our group just kind of gunned it out on that one. It really, really worked hard on kind of making it user friendly and look nice. Overall, it flows well and looks nice. It's a great application, in my opinion. So then the functionality, this is what my final project was, to kind of just make the fix the bugs, fix everything, kind of make it really, really come together as well. But this is more with the code, and this is more kind of with the visual and everything like that. So there's a key difference between functionality and final wrap up issues, and that final wrap up issues is just doing the cleaning work. Functionality is kind of making sure the app doesn't break on us. That if we need to test it, which we were getting errors, and we would try to do different things. We get errors. That's kind of where it comes into play with the functionalities, testing the errors, kind of fixing the errors, seeing where we're going wrong. And that took a lot of work. It took me around 12 hours. So, and then I will go to the demo. Okay, so currently it's not working on this computer. It works on my home computer. For some reason, my laptop does not want to run any of the Dart systems or the SDK to run the demo of the application. That's why I'd rather just get it on my phone, but for my home computer. But I'm currently out of town, so I could just point out some of the stuff that we kind of did and I did specifically. So the navigation bar, a lot of these key features were things that I worked on. The functionality part of it, the screen implementation to how it flows and how it's set up was also done by me. And also the key, like today at the top, the date, just the overall appearance and stuff like that, I kind of changed up to make it look a little bit more user friendly. And ultimately, they kind of implemented more of the kind of AI implementation. I did more of the visual kind of stuff and the overall appearance and how it progresses through. So you'd click a button, say you click settings, it takes you there. How does it set up? Navigation bar on the bottom. I think it's really cool progressing that we're going to implement pick a file and from URL. We do not have that currently implemented, but I thought it was cool that they wanted to kind of try this, and I was all for it. But yeah, that is kind of where I come into play, is the functionality part of it, kind of making sure it flowed, the look of it, the progression to start recording, to popping out and saying generate note summary, and then it either saying save or retry. Just making it kind of go from one screen to the next, because before you'd have to do too many clicks. It's kind of confusing, kind of be all over the place, to be honest. Okay, so that's kind of the demo, and then we'll go into the GitHub. Let's get verification. Okay, so in this is where I would talk about what I did specifically with the code. And functionality code refers to the code that defines the behavior of an application or specifically feature within it. And Flutter functionality can be implemented using widgets, which is what I use and what we as a group use. To create the Flutter for this, we identified the functionality we wanted. Before we start writing the code, we need to have a clear understanding of the functionality that I wanted to add and that us as a group wanted to have, because there's a key difference there. Creating a new widget, once you know what functionality you want to implement, you can create a new widget with the functionality. So we kind of had a debate on this one, and I'll show you kind of where is it? Sorry about this. I just did it. Oh, there's branches. Okay, there we are. So as you see, transcription view and kind of our implementations as we kind of progress of pulling it through, and we had a lot of pulls. It was kind of confusing. I think that would be something I would have to get used to working this career and working with groups, is kind of everyone just putting all their information at once and kind of going overlapping, and kind of my code would work and then all of a sudden it wouldn't work. And I'd be like, what happened? And it'd be like, oh, well, someone else's code conflicts with my code. And it was just kind of one of those things when we went into testing, it was like, oh, and I think that's an issue that was kind of difficult to get used to in this project, but I think I would do better next time. But just talking about my code. So I did a Stratful widget, and I did this in the main class. So let's go here. Let's go to iOS, to Flutter. So this is debug. No, I'm gonna go back. Sorry about that. It's been a minute. GPT. No, me. Okay. There it is. There we go. Okay. So in this, we have the implementation of everything that kind of draws the main, and this is a. So I did a set state, and the widget build that I did was a scaffold. So I wanted to return a scaffold and kind of give the theme and then a floating action button. So I wanted to basically have a floating action button because it's just kind of what I would say the industry's kind of doing as a standard now. And then I wanted to kind of also add a widget for the application to run app, which I think is a key feature when you're kind of doing that, and everything in the aspect of running over the implementation. And ChatGPT. there's a couple in here that I worked on too. Yeah, the drawer. So I worked on the drawer. I basically helped implement that. I worked on the chat runner, which is a transcription. This was a huge one for my, as I discussed before, with the transcription view and kind of working on that. Um, so it's just kind of been honestly bouncing around this last one, throwing everything together and kind of um, not just working on one thing, but working at the app in total. So that's a different kind of just being and just kind of, it's been a lot, but it's been a good lot, and it's been a process that I'm super grateful for. And creating just a transcription view, we wanted to use a list view widget, and we defined a class. And basically, the transcription view has three main classes, which would be the tags, start time, end time, because we wanted it to be on a time because we wanted the audio to record and to be able to kind of. So that's why it says stateless widget earlier, because that's something we use, and it kind of helps with the kind of list of times and kind of flow of the recording. Right now, we're dealing with kind of an issue with the overall database and kind of storing a big enough file. We have everything that flows, but it's hard to, because everything when you want to store into a cloud, it has kind of token system where you need to buy certain amount of data. And with something that, say, is a lecture like Dr. Grisham was talking about, it's an hour and a half long, that's a lot of data being stored, and we could do it. We just need a database to store it in, and that's where the finances and kind of everything else that's above us as college students kind of comes into play, and kind of next step process, I would say. So yeah, and transcription view is just kind of been the homepage of the application, and it's been really, really interesting. And now I love it because I can create an application from the ground up. And I definitely want to learn more over summer and kind of express more of my coding and background in that over summer. So yeah, that's kind of, I know I ramble on, but I want to show you a couple of different things off the top of my head. And then the new code highlights, just as I described, kind of we'll go back here. So what we did from the last sprint is basically what you want to know, and what I did from the last sprint. So the application is totally different. It's totally more functional. It's totally easier to use, more user friendly. It's straight to the point. It's, you press record, it takes you record. You press start record, it takes you to transcription. You take transcription, you retry, you submit, and it takes you to save transcriptions. It just flows from one place to the next. Before, it wasn't like that. You go to transcription view, then you go back and forth. It was just kind of all cluttered. So now there's actually a sequence to everything you press, and there's a purpose to every button you have there, except for the two in the home screen. But those are buttons that we established there for future implementation. So I think that's crucial to kind of name that off and tell you about that. Overall, I think this application is magnificent. I'm very happy with everything, and kind of I want to make sure that I go over everything so that I get everything you want, Dr. Grisham, and you kind of see where I'm coming from. All right. Let's see. Talk about. Okay. Yeah. I just forgot about the navigation part. So okay, I'll talk about that right now. Um, And as you can see, this is our code. This would probably be a better way. I'm more used to seeing it on this and going through GitHub and showing the code there. So as you can see, we've implemented everything. So here would be the app view, authentication, home view, or main. So the home view is kind of where I dabbed a lot of my time into, and along with the app view, authentication, the Flutter dot, kind of just making sure everything transcribed and everything flowed perfect. So let me go to the main dark. Yeah, and then authentication. I'll add these up. Okay, so talk about the navigation bar. So I wanted just a simple bottom navigation bar. So we implemented new code to kind of do that, and this was kind of in the widget list. So we used a widget list, and then we did current index. So the bottom navigation bar basically has an icon with text. Simple, easy. Click icon, takes you to it. Before, simple, home, notes, settings, etc. So in the widget, I use a scaffold of our application, and then I set the current index to a selected page. And then on that, I would define on tap. So it's a callback function that updates the current index variable when the user taps a navigation item on the screen. So, and then finally, the navigation bar widget each represents a navigation item that we assign to the specific functionality. So that's why I had navigation functionality, because it kind of coincide with one another. When we run the application, we want to see a navigation bar at the bottom of the screen, because it's just user friendly. And then we always want to see either bottom or top, kind of the main functionality of where, because that's where the user's kind of eyes naturally go. So that's where this kind of all comes into play. And as you can see, we list everything out and kind of make it flow nice, and login features, everything like that, app view, everything that we want to implement with the text ad. So that's kind of where we're at, and kind of just overall, I think it's been a great experience. And I kind of just feature advice for other people is just to kind of explore. I never explored application coding before this. I was just genuinely coding to code for class. And I am personally more of a web developer. I like to design in HTML and CSS, and want to do front house and back house. But it's interesting to know this, and it's useful to know this, and to be able to build applications and implement the code that we have been learning for so long, and we have been working so hard in class. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Grisham. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm very grateful and lucky. I'll stop the recording there because I don't want to keep around on, but thank you. Okay. Sorry about that, Dr. Grisham. Just making sure everything is kind of recording. It's good. I'll make sure at the end of this that the video is recording. Doing the first one, I thought that it was delayed and that it was recording. Obviously, it was audio, so obviously I tried to do it. I apologize for the inconvenience. Sorry for the background noise right now, too. I'm out of town for work, so I'll be in Temecula kind of handling some stuff for the business. So apologize for any background noise that you may hear. I'm at a Starbucks currently and trying to do this on the fly. So sorry about anything that may be missing. I am going to do my best. I really looked at kind of what I did wrong in the last sprint individual video, which was 3 and 4, and looked over the rubric and kind of hope I address all the issues that kind of happened the first time. And I just thank you, Dr. Grisham, for everything this semester. Very appreciative, and we'll get straight into this. Sorry for wasting your time with the beginning intro. Just want to make some confirmations on this video. So sprints 5 and 6, individual progress update for Coach GPT. My name, obviously, Patrick. So breakdown of labor, just some of your tasks and points that I did personally, because this is in regards to me as an individual. I worked on functionality, basically worked on kind of implementing, making user-friendly minor fixes, and what you kind of discussed in the previous sprint prior to functionality and view, the home screen, the navigation through the application, and overall usability of the application. Kind of wanted to make it more user-friendly and help with that process, and kind of make it kind of flow better, and also the transcription view when it progresses to the notes. Also helped on transcribing images when they are going to text. I helped Eric on that, so that was another implementation that I did, and Eric's been awesome at working with him through some of these and helping me kind of with the testing and debugging issues, and it's kind of been a process with that, and just fixing minor things that were working in my code that I was submitting, and But overall, I believe that the functionality and application came out very well, and super grateful for the opportunity and learned a lot. So overall, for functionality, the majority of work was with myself. I would say the testing debugging was helped with Eric, so that's why I put myself. Story points 13, estimated 13 minutes worked. 12 hours would be on the low end. But I don't want to overestimate, so that's how long I would say. Definitely was more hours than that. And then the final wrap-up issues was kind of just the visual representation to the user, kind of the workflow of it, and we also added a couple of little things for everyone to see on the showcase, and that took up some time too. And I also wanted just to kind of make sure that there wasn't any issues with presenting it. I wanted to make sure that kind of with the group and to make sure that it flowed correctly and that when we were presenting, we were able to click buttons and everything and it would flow, and you didn't have to enter in information back and forth and kind of adapt on the fly and only be able to click certain things. Obviously, the URL and those two buttons that we were honest about and did not implement, but are there for future because we do want to continue this project on, and it is something that we want to produce and we want to ultimately distribute to the user. It's not just an application that we're doing just for the fun of it. It was fun, but it was a lot of work and it was stressful, and it was a learning experience, but also something that we hope to possibly get something out of, and possibly that's why we do what we're doing, is to produce a product to the end user. So minutes worked on this for 6 hours. Also, again, understatement. As a group, probably 20 plus. So I just kind of estimated my input as well. So a navigation bar that continued over from the previous sprints. Navigation bar was ultimately a big kind of back and forth. We were going with the group and kind of want to make the kind of buttons functionality linked together. So they kind of, to make the navigation bar ultimately be completed, I had to hop into the functionality and ultimately make it more intuitive, make it more resourceful, make it more user-friendly. It was just a learning experience on how the buttons kind of correlate to the functionality and coincide with both and interact with them. So the completed would be 8, and the minutes worked would be 5 hours. Again, these are just estimates. I believe they're more, but I didn't want to predict it. I just want to kind of give myself a rough estimate that was kind of moderate to say. Okay, on the next slide. So for the demo, obviously on my laptop, I cannot demo it on this because it does not run it, unfortunately. But if I was on my PC at home, which I did the majority of the work from, I could run it. I downloaded everything. I was just for some reason having issues with the SDK and all that on this laptop. Could not figure it out, but it worked on my PC, so sorry about this. So I'm using a YouTube video that we did for the final project and kind of overviewing what I did and kind of pointing out through the mouse my input and my overall production to this group and this project and kind of what I contributed. So we will go here. I have it up. So obviously mute it because I want to have my input. So I worked on the home screen, kind of worked on the buttonality of it and the functionality. So when we're going to just go through, as you see, I created an account, was implementation of what I did and kind of the view. Obviously, what you get right there. So I worked on basically the bottom part, the sign in, the navigation through the application and the functionality. So obviously Eric worked on more of the AI and transcription. I did help with the transcription of the documents. That was the part that I helped with. So as you can see, just progresses through. I don't want to have you watch the whole video because the whole video is meant for me to just show what he presented and we presented for a final video. This is just a synopsis of what I did. And I also helped with the scroll feature right there. and also the labeling of the documents and the code for that. And let me see if I go forward because more of what I did was a home screen. The functionality to scroll down. So the navigation bar was what my input to this project really was, and the functionality, which would be just kind of the scroll feature, kind of the moving through the navigation bar, and kind of progression through our application. So I go forward. So ultimately, same navigation feature. I completely helped with this. Did not do the upgrade to subscription. I'm thankful for Eric. That's awesome that we have that feature, but that was not something I did. What I did was kind of the settings feature, setting page, and the navigation bar. So yeah, as you see, I'm kind of working through the app. A lot of the buttons, especially the back button, scroll feature, those are all just functionalities. So I want to make it clear because I'm not trying to take anyone's credit for word. I worked on the functionality, and that was what my input was. That was what I was told to do, and that's my kind of contribution to this application. So as you can see, as it progresses, that's stuff I did, and obviously helped build the home screen because that's part of the functionality navigation. The record button, all these I kind of helped create, and they kind of helped with the progression through when you click the application and the code to take you to the next transcription. So overall, as you can see, home button, setting, transcription, chat, all this is features that I implemented and I helped do, which took a lot of time, and believe it or not, the visuality and the kind of wrapping up the issue was a big deal, and it takes a lot amount of time. And just going to go to Jira because I want to show you kind of what my personal patch grow off completed. So final wrap up issues, NGP T20, functionality 58, create transcription view, finalized 27, and navigation bar 59 completed. Those were my projects to this project, and these three specifically are what I did in the last sprints. So kind of the roadmap, as you can see, kind of did work over the course of the period, and kind of always tried to put in my time blocks and kind of when I worked on stuff. Usually it was honestly Monday and Tuesday when I really dedicated my time to this and really sat down and did it. So as you can see, kind of navigation bar once again crossed off, kind of just walking you through this because I believe this is where I kind of lost points last time. It was just not going through Jira and not showing what I did as a person in this project and a contributor. And then my branch, so kind of transcription, and I also helped with alternative views, and do the subscription. That would be somebody else, so Eric. But those were my pools, so I wanted to show you that. And then I'll go to the actual code. So I have them all view up. So methods, I worked on this. This was part of it. Kind of the application methods and Dart. The add view completely worked on this. Helped add kind of the view of the text. Authentication, again, big part of transcription and navigation and functionality was kind of doing the authentication because you want to be able to have features such as password, request, kind of login, all the just what a user does to get in the application, and that was a majority of my contribution as well, kind of going over that. And then obviously the home view, use a shuffle widget and kind of shows you what I did to get the home view. Eric helped me just kind of clean it up. It was having issues kind of at the beginning, but we kind of wrapped up towards the end. GPT, obviously the main feature, which runs a program to produce the application. And then obviously Firebase, which shows options, etc. So just going to talk more just about the code and what I'm showing you, so I could show you what basically my knowledge and what my implementation of this project was. So I use user authentication, which allows a user to sign up and log into the application using their email address, password, and their social media accounts such as Google, Facebook, or whatever it may be. That's something we're going to adapt, and I want to
contribute to as well as kind of linking the social media aspect to it. But for this part, I just kind of did the login and password section. I created a read, update, and delete part. So that's obviously a big part of the application is kind of to progress through the notes. And that's a huge part of functionality is to be able to kind of create the notes, but also read them, update them, and you want to be able to possibly get rid of the notes. So real-time syncing basically means that ensure that the user creates and updates notes and changes immediately, reflecting the real time. Obviously, immediately is up to our system because we are using a AI system that is linked with ChatGPT. So if the database is kind of getting overwhelmed with users, then it can slow up the production of the notes. Eventually, it will get there. It just takes sometimes a couple seconds, or sometimes 10 seconds, depending on how many users are on the platform. Search functionality allows users to search their notes on a keyword or tag. That's one feature I did. Cloud storage, which allows users to add attachments to the notes, images, audio, video files. Right now, we're at images and audio. Video files is something with the URL we are looking to progress. We need to dive into that, but that's something that we just need to do more research and kind of one of the things that we wanted further on with this application. We really wanted to hit images and audio in this process. And then sharing functionality, which allows users to share their notes with others via email or social media, is another feature that we kind of wanted to implement. We have kind of the design to allow users to share email or copy and paste. So the social media part of it is once again what we are progressing to. So I kind of wanted this presentation to show that we are implementing it more onto this application, but kind of that my functionality is done for what we set forward for this project. But there is more to be done for production and for giving to the end user, being hopefully universities and colleges and professors. I think this project is very useful. And as was shown in the demonstration, it was kind of something that people do find useful and that could take place. I'm going to get rid of this so you can see my code. Sorry about that. I've been talking and kind of not paying attention to what's on my screen. But overall, some of the things that we use by doing so are Firebase authentication, Firebase Firestore, Firebase search bar, Flutter file picker, and Flutter share packages that I use and kind of had to do my research on to be able to produce this end product and my contribution to this project. I'm overall super grateful and lucky to be a part of this process and go back to my presentation. To be a part of this project. Sorry about that. And then went over GitHub check-in. That is obviously it. So went over new code highlights. That's pretty much the end. Just want to go over new code because I know that could be true. So the new code that we basically implemented was not just the basic authentication or home view, but it was add views. It was to have search features and to be able to have files implemented basically through transcription and image. So you can take an image and transcribe it into notes. And that's something that we had to do, and that's part of functionality. So that should be it for me. I am going to make sure that this is recording my view, and sorry about the previous recording. Let me know if you need anything, Dr. Grisham. I'm very grateful. Thank you, and God bless. You have a great summer, and thank you again. Can't wait for the future in this career and to grow from this and learn more. God bless. Thank you.